guys, welcome back to Crafting Mayhem and More. This is Kina. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Also subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get notified when I do post new videos. Now, I had not posted in a while, and I gave my reason in a short video last week, a couple weeks ago, as to, I needed a real mental health break. So now I'm going to go into some specifics about what has been going on. So usually I start out my videos with a dad update, and that is not going to be any different today. So over the past few months, like right after Christmas, my dad ended up going into the hospital because he started to have seizures. And it was like almost every 2 weeks that he would be going into the hospital. Every time he came out, they wanted to put him in rehabilitation, a nursing home for rehab. And the answer was no, because he can get rehab at home. That way we can ensure that they were actually working with him. I'm so behind on my game. I didn't introduce any of the things that I am using for this video, but I'll get to that in a bit. Let me close this window because, of course, people are cutting grass at, ridiculous hours in the AM. All right, so anyway, he was having these seizures, and we had not yet identified what his aura was. Of course, you guys know that I am a nurse, and so an aura is some kind of activity or something that generally precedes a seizure activity that identifies that a person is about to have a seizure. Well, we finally got that identified, but what was consistently happening as the frequency of these seizures grew was that not only would he have the initial seizure for, an extended period of time, at least in my clinical knowledge of a seizure, like, damn, this is lasting a long time. But he would then proceed to have multiple seizures in rapid succession. Now, it's not status epilepticus, which is when you just have this prolonged seizure and you just stuck, and you're seizing and your synapses are firing and your electrical activity in your brain is not working, but they would be back-to-back rapid seizures. A number of these seizures caused him to be intubated for several days, status post-seizure. And in the midst of one of those seizures, he actually had a mild heart attack. So needless to say, he has not been 100%. He's a diabetic. I told you he had all the black man diseases in the world. So he's diabetic, and he is now developing ulcers on his feet, of which, we are attending to, and they are getting better. But this has caused him not to be mobile. And so he is wheelchair bound at this point, which means a number of transfers for everything that needs to be done. All that kind of stuff. He has to get a transportation service to dialysis. And because he is not on Medicaid, but Medicare, he only gets so many rides per year, which is like 20, I think. And that includes a round trip ride, like back and forth, 10 and 10. So 10 rides in total to and from. So, of course, now that has to be paid out of pocket, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we are working hard to get him on Medicaid so that he can be allowed to get free transportation back and forth from dialysis, because we are not we're choosing not to put him in a nursing home, though things are getting progressively worse. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but during that time, my cousin was living here while her house was getting built, and I may have mentioned it, forgive me, but she ended up having something go wrong. They did not find a stroke, but she was incoherent. Her blood sugar was in the 300s, which again, my clinical experience is that a 300 blood sugar does not constitute the amount of confusion she had, and the fact that she could not formulate a coherent thought. It was like she knew what she wanted to say, yet she could not verbalize it. So the concern there was that she had a brain tumor, because both my aunt and her brother, with her mother and her brother, passed away from a brain tumor. So all the testing was done. It was really kind of bad because it was COVID and this, that, and the other. So apparently she tried to abscond from the hospital. Now, one day I came in there, and the angle she was in her bed, and she was trying to tell me something, I saw a knot on her eyebrow. And I'm like, how'd you get that knot? So I also had noticed that when I got in there, that there were restraints attached to her bed. So I asked the nurse about that. Why are there restraints? Why does she need to be restrained? I asked her to go look. She, of course, never did. I asked her to look at the knot on her head, which she said she saw, so she should have documented it. But anyway, my cousin kept trying to tell me, every time this police officer would walk past the door, she would be like, look, look. And I'm like, okay, yeah, a police. And she like, yeah. And so what she was trying to communicate to me was that he had hit her. And he could have very well done that in the process of trying to restrain her. But guess what? I worked at the busiest level 1 trauma center on the trauma unit for, 15, 16 years. And never once have I had an officer who helped in restraining a patient to outright punch them. There's no need for it. So, of course, over the next couple of days, she developed a black eye, in which point I was not going to let her stay in the hospital by myself, and especially because they weren't giving answers. I called up there. I talked to the one nurse, and I told her about her eye. And she said, well, they document very well in the ED. And so if that happened, then it should be in her chart. I said, well, I usually don't say this, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I am a nurse. I am a trauma nurse specialist. And I know what documentation looks like in a trauma resuscitation unit and or a ED, which is why I'm calling you now to report it to you, so that if you don't see it, you can document it. Of course, it did not get documented. Anyway, what they didn't know is they got the queen of lawsuits. So she has now contacted attorney, and she will be suing this particular hospital. I mean, the reality of the situation is that, man, it is really bad with the nursing shortage, how many hours nurses have to work, and what is happening, the quality of care that people are getting. The sad part is that if you don't have anybody in the healthcare field that knows, you in trouble. You are really, really in trouble. And it's not that you can blame the nursing staff. I don't even know if you could blame the administrators, but I do know that the almighty dollar is not everything. And I also know that anybody that works in the healthcare field, your first duty is to save lives. As a matter of fact, doctors take that whole oath to do no harm. So if you have medical administrators over or directors over med surge or the ED or whatever, then you need to do what you need to do to make sure that everybody is getting the quality of care that they deserve. Because before the pandemic, I was working at a teaching hospital, and I cannot count on one hand how many times I had to snap off on a resident because they thought they knew what they were doing. They answered to doctor every time a patient called them doctor because of they had on a white jacket, when in fact, dude, you are a medical student and or first, second, third, fourth year resident. You have not passed your boards, and therefore you are not a doctor. We're gonna roll with the fact that the white coat generally means doctor. But guess what you're not going to do? You're not going to experiment on the indigent or underserved. Not under my care, not under my watch. No way, no how. No, sir. So that part of it was extremely stressful. I'm sorry, I'm scooting up. And tiring. So, I just needed the break. Not to mention that, what did I call her? My little petri dish went back to regular school, and then one day came home or over here and was all kissy kissy. And I remember asking, why all this kissing? Why the next day I wake up like my nose feels funny. So I took a at-home COVID test. Of course I was positive. I'm like, what in the hell? It actually wasn't that bad. The worst part was staying quarantined in one part of the house. I'm used to being in my room because this is where I now have my craft table set up, because I have to be able to hear and reach my dad when he tries to get up before he falls. Like he falls, he fell 2 days ago, and I couldn't get him up. I had to call one of my relatives that lives around the corner, who's retired, to come and help me get him off the floor. Otherwise, he was going to have to lay on that floor with a pillow. I gave him a pillow. I told Noelle, go get a pillow, because I can't pick him up. I tried, and I have picked him up before, but I've also hurt my back before. And at the end of the day, I'm going to San Diego next Friday, and I'm not getting ready to engine anything. I'm going to go and do what I wanted to do, which was go to the San Diego Zoo.
Without me.
And so that's what I'm going to do. Basically, that was it, as I journey through this role reversal kind of thing with my one parent. My other parent she can, electric slide better than me. So there you go. Or line dance, period. So she's active and still working and still has her own business. So not to be worried about. The other thing is, I got laid off in July. Yeah, I believe it was. So, of course, I just like, all right, let me chill out and just take this unemployment. I got my savings, this, that, and the other. So, anyway, unemployment got terminated very early. And, yeah, about that. I'm just a tad uncomfortable with sitting around on my behind with nothing coming in to supplement the going out, because your bank account starts to shrink and shrink and shrink. So yeah, so now I'm in like not really a panic or a rush. I know I'll have a job in the next couple months, but I like to get that happening before I go to San Diego. Now I am going to San Diego for free, all expenses paid, by a friend of mine from 30 something years ago, who I happened to talk to on Facebook Messenger, and we got to talking. And this particular friend is looking for somewhere to retire to and wanted to go exploring some states. And so they came up with their suggestion, and I'm like, not Arizona. And then they were like, well, where do you want to go? And I said, well, I've always wanted to go to the San Diego Zoo. And that person said, done and done. So, girl, it's been a long time since I have not had to reach into my wallet to do anything. And I'm going to go with that flow. Because I'm just going to go with that flow. And I'm going to go and I'm going to enjoy myself. And as a matter of fact, that particular friend is already asking, well, where do you want to go for your birthday? I'm like, when is my birthday? I'm like, that's a few months away. He's like, well, girl, to start on now. I'm like, okay, so I'll be thinking on a trip for my birthday, which will be really cool. So that's that. I am currently working on Willow. And I have had, I said Willow, Willa. I have had Willa for a very long time, guys. Like Willa was one of the first ones I bought from DAC. And I bought her because she looks AA, or like a POC. So she looks like a person of color. And you know how rare that is without getting something custom. I don't know if this is upside down or not, but I'm going to turn it always. So I love Willa. Now, we know about the quality of DAC because I'm sure I'm not the first channel you have stumbled across. I'm loving Willa, y'all. I'm actually loving it. Like this leopard print is giving me life. Like I'm really enjoying working through the leopard print. The other thing is the border. The border is all black. So, whew, that is my struggle point. I could multi-place, but it's a square. And when I do squares, I always do the checkerboard. And I know you can checkerboard when you multi-place. But I like this painting so much that I'm not going to do that. I want to keep it as straight as I possibly can. The other thing I'm using is my extra large tray. And that is because I have so many 310s as a bunch of diamond paintings do have a lot of 310s. You see this one works exceptionally well for what I'm doing. And as today, or as of this painting, it is now and forever will be known as my 310 tray. I have a couple of these. I got them from Amazon, I believe. And I use them when I have like multicolor. Like I think I have the black and white painting from DAC, and it's two colors. It's black and white. So I'll have a black tray and a white tray. Won't be any kidding up. Each time I need diamond drills, I'll just pour them in the tray. And that's what I've been doing with this 310. So I'm on my next to the last row. And that's pretty exciting because I really want to get finished. What's on my agenda? Okay, so you see the nails are not done. The feet are not done. The hair is not done. I'm doing all of that next week. So that's why you guys are not getting a 2 screenshot view. And the other reason is because I gave my daughter the laptop for with my OBS studio that I use to do that split screen. So yeah, that's an issue. I have to download it, and I have not downloaded it yet. I will get to it as soon as possible. I might try to just download it on my Chromebook because I don't want my Windows laptop to get any kind of virus or anything like that. But on the agenda, Noelle is on spring break. And she's on punishment. I'm going to tell y'all about that in a second. But we had, if you go back to the very first video, we're talking about the things that we like to do. And you guys may or may not know that this was originally a miniature channel because that's my thing, doll houses and miniatures. My first love crafting. And the channel name was actually Miniatures, Mayhem, and More until I got addicted to diamond painting. And yeah, got addicted to diamond painting, and I decided to just do crafting mayhem and more, because for some reason I think I can do all the things. And let me tell you what all the things is. I think I can do my miniatures. I think I can do a Cricut, work a Cricut, which I bought a couple of years ago. I looked at it. I took it out the box. Me and Noelle looked at it and we put it back in the box. Eventually, last year sometime, my sister came and got it, and I haven't seen it since, but I'm going to make her bring that back. The other older things I think I can do is 3D printing. So this Christmas, I bought myself a 3D printer. Yeah, I didn't even open the box to look at it. It is still as it was shipped, sitting under the dining room table. I'm going to get to it. I truly, truly am going to get to it. I'm going to make all the effort in the world this summer to get some stuff done. But that being said, Noelle and I, if you go back to that first video, we were talking about miniatures. And one of the things that we were going to do was make a fairy garden. And basically, we have the stuff. We have the stuff.
Except clay.
I'm talking and you're interrupting. So we have all the things, and you know, some of the things we had, and I got tired of looking at it because it's been sitting here for 3 or 4 years and we never did it, and I got rid of it like a Pringles can. Some air dry clay where I had a whole tub of it. So we got to get that, but that's not critical. We can get started on it. So I want to get started on that with her sometime today or tomorrow, because it's supposed to warm up here. It's supposed to be 68 today. So what I'm trying to do is freaking finish Willa, and we can concentrate on that. So what I'm going to have Noelle to do, because she likes to draw, is to get the Pringles can that we have. Go get some Pringles, so we'll have 2 cans, and or we may use a different shaped jar. It doesn't matter. We have like a round sugar Domino's sugar bowl or something that we use for in one of our videos. Well, that's going to be the main house for like where the gnomes live, but then we're going to have the tower, taller ones are where the fairies are going to be. And you know, every time I'm in Dollar Tree and I see the fairy items that they have, if I don't recall purchasing them, I always repurchase. And so we're going to get that done within the next couple of weeks. Now, mind you, next week she's back to school. I'm getting ready to go out of town. I got to get my feet done, mani-pedis and hair and pack. But we will get it done, you know, by the time she's out of school. Maybe a week after she's out of school, it'll be all said and done. But she's over here pretty much a lot. So when she's over here on the weekend, we can work on that too. But I at least want to get a rough draft of what the schematic is going to look like. And also, I would like to get the main parts glued together. You know, like cut out the base in whatever shape we want, get everything hot glued down, and then we can work on specific decorations. We're going to use, look, we're going to do a time lapse on that. We'll do a little video time lapse on that for the people who do like to use miniatures. I also have a couple of miniature kits that I started on, and I don't like to do the kits anymore. I'm more leaning towards room boxes. So I'm going to finish up those kits. I'll probably have a giveaway for, I got that little coffee shop miniature kit, and I accidentally bought 2. I also want to start on the rehab on my dollhouse, because it's a pretty dollhouse and I wanted that dollhouse, but I need to do basically the schematic as far as what do I need to do? I need to do the schematic as far as my electrical wiring. That's what I need to do. So what I did here on this particular diamond painting was I did the checkerboard method across my entire row. I never do that, but I'm like, let me switch it up. I usually do a section that I have partitioned with my parchment paper, and I fill all that section in. Well, I was like, nope, I was getting a little tired, hands started to hurt. And so I did that. So I did it all the way across, and it's kind of a little easier to do it all the way across and then just go back and fill it in, because it'll take me an hour or two to fill this in. Had I done it section by section, I would have been 2 days on a section, maybe 3. Although this is pretty much 3 days. Either way, it was enough to break up the monotony of how I usually do it. In addition to that, I am going in number order, serial number or order. 1, 2, 3, 4 was my 310. I am now on 5, but I think I did all my 9s earlier. So I'm going in serial number order as I fill it in so that I can get a sense of when I'm halfway done and getting this row done. And I think I may do the bottom row the same way, but I think I'm going to divvy it up because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of parchment paper on here. So I'll do 4 and 4 and divvy it up. The next thing is, what did I mention? Noelle is on punishment. Well, y'all always put in the comments, oh, your granddaughter is so sweet. She's so sweet. Miss Sweetness has turned into a Pretty Little Liar, and I'm not talking about the television series. Yes, ma'am. I know. She is 9. Maybe it's a phase 9-year-olds go through, but I have not had a 9-year-old in 21 years. My youngest is 30 or 31, something like that. And yeah, that haven't happened in that many years, which is a problem. And not only is that what she does, but she hang on to the lie. I like totally bust. She be lying like she in the court of law, trying to keep herself out of jail and out of the electric chair. And I don't know what to do with that. So unfortunately, she is on punishment for her spring break. Now, if you guys have 9-year-olds or tweens or something in between, put down in the comments, what do you usually do to combat that if you've ever had that issue? If you know of a method, then do that too. There's some other things that she did, but she's sitting here and I'm really not probably going to discuss it at all. You guys can ask her all the questions you want to in the comments, and on the next video that she and I do together, she can answer those questions. That would be great. Let's see what else is going on. So I did have an interview Tuesday, with a large MCO. The headquarters for this particular division of that MCO is in Wisconsin, which, okay, I live in Illinois. It actually is a good thing because the city that, okay, so it's a remote position, and the only time I would have to go into the office would be for team building or some major meeting, and I would know in advance. And I could drive to West Allis. And my brother, who is deceased, I knew exactly where it was because guess what? He lived in West Allis. So the first person I interviewed with, she was all excited, like, oh my God, this is meant to be. She was like, I really enjoyed talking to you. I'm glad I interviewed you. I hope, I'm going to be rooting for you to get this position. So Tuesday, I interviewed with the Vice President of Population Health as well as the interim manager. Y'all, when I tell you that this interview lasted an entire hour, it's been a long time since I had an interview last an entire hour. It's like, I was like, stop asking me damn questions. Fortunately, I had an example or some sort of experience for which, each one of the scenarios they asked me, I already had that. And I already had my list of questions in my head about the company in particular, but I had already did my research, and I did not do my research by reading the website. I did read the About Us section. However, I am in a Facebook group for the kind of nursing that I do, and I had asked, does anybody work for this company? Give me the real deal. And a couple people sent me a message in Messenger and, told me what the story was. And I like what they were about. So I have actively pursued interviews with this company based on the feedback that I got from asking that question in that group. So what I would be doing, when I get this position, let me claim it, is I will be the manager of case management for a particular type of managed care health plan. And this is for expectant mothers who are basically they're Medicaid, and to get them the services that they need to eliminate them possibly having high-risk pregnancies, combating all of those social things that go on, healthcare disparities, which can encompass homelessness and any activity that just prevents you. It might be educational, it might be transportation that prevents you from getting healthcare. Here's the good part about that, is that I don't know why everybody is acting like they didn't notice, but this has been a thing in healthcare from, I guess, the advent of healthcare, organized healthcare. People of color do not get treated the same. And beyond that, immigrants do not get treated the same. And I don't care whether you are, of Hispanic descent, or Polish or Russian or whatever. Come to a hospital, not have any insurance, and speak another language. See how you get treated. It's not going to even matter. And to use COVID as the platform for bringing this to the public eye, good, very good. There was a health scare, and we all were subjected to it. And we saw with the distribution of vaccinations and other things that rich white people, I can't say it any other way. Sorry if you're offended. Sorry, but to tell the truth, I'm not responsible for your melanin deficiency. That is a health issue that you have that I cannot control. With that being said, I don't mean to offend anybody. But people of color were not being taken care of, and you cannot dispute that. And it was brought to the public eye. And I'm glad. I'm glad, because if you didn't think it or you didn't know it, then now you do. What it did, though, was for those people who have already known it, and I'm going to say nurses in particular, nurse administrators, minority healthcare workers, we have an opportunity and a platform, a leg to stand on, and evidence-based practice to prove that this is the case, and it needs to be fixed. It needs to really be fixed. Now, I'm not always a proponent of, universal health care and all this mess, but you know what? I think that it kind of needs to be. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know what, I know people from the UK pay a certain type of tax that contributes to that. And I think Canadians do. And I know I've heard the story. I have read the research. I have blah, blah, blah. Every excuse that you could come up with as to why this would not work. And I'm here to tell you that based on research, you're wrong. You don't go to countries that have universal health care and all the time you have to wait months and months and months for this to happen. I'm sure it happens on occasion, the same way dysfunction happens in our free society, open healthcare, capitalistic healthcare system. What you don't do with universal health care, you don't get to gorge the general public. If I go in the hospital without insurance, guess where I'm going to be when I'm out? Homeless, hungry, and broke down. That's not going to be the case if you have universal health care, and nobody can be rich or getting rich off unless you specialize in something. If you're the only one in the country or one of the top 20 in the country that's able to do something pioneering, if you chose healthcare, quit trying to be all altruistic. Like, dude, you did it because you allegedly were supposed to want to help somebody. Because for all the down and dirty stuff I did as a trauma nurse specialist and how I've worked short on that unit and bust my A asterisk to save somebody's life, how I had to one time actually call the medical director of trauma on one of our attendings because you were letting something happen that never should have happened. Like, you were letting this patient really be a target of negligent health care. And I was not about to stand there and watch it. And so I called on you. I'm sorry, boo, because guess what? I know. What I know is if it was your daughter, you would have done something about it. You wouldn't have been standing there deer in the headlight. I know you just woke up because we called you to the front room. But guess what you should not have been doing? Looking like a deer in the headlight. And I can tell you one thing. If you go to an emergency department, and I can only speak on my hospital because our trauma unit was a separate entity. If the group of trauma nurses that are working in that resuscitation area gets quiet, something is dead wrong. Because I'm going to tell you what happens when a true trauma comes in. You have adrenaline rush, and there's a buzz of energy and activity, and everybody who has consistently worked together falls into their roles of what they're going to be doing. You know, you got the person that's going to be recording this resuscitation process. You got your nurses that are going to be trying to establish IV access for this patient to get fluids and medications that they need. You're going to have somebody at the head of that bed intubating that patient to get oxygen wherever. You know, everybody is going to fall into their roles and work as a cohesive team. At least that's how we did it. That's why our motto was trauma unit, our particular trauma unit, saving lives. And we did good at what we do. If you walk through there now, the senior nurses, myself included, are gone. So I can't speak on what they do. But I know it was a very different kind of a training. When I started there and as I was precepting there through the years, to be able to work in our resuscitation area, we had a 6-month orientation per new hire in the ICU, where what you got every day for 6 months were the most critical patients on the unit. And what that meant is you might have had the most critical one at 7 o'clock at night when you came in. But if something came in at 2 in the morning and it was more critical, guess what you was doing? Giving up your patient, and you were going to get that more critical patient so you can learn the ins and out. And it was a full 6-month orientation. Now I heard they cut it down to 3 months. I'm like, okay, good luck with that. But You know, I'm not there, so I don't have anything to say about it, but I thought that it was exceptional to give that 6 month orientation because number one, you can't really say that you were stuck on your own. You can't really say that you hadn't seen at least one type of some injury come in, or that you weren't familiar with those critical medications that you had to give. That, guess what, did not happen in our ICU. Pharmacy didn't bring you up a levo drip or a neo drip. No, sir. You had to know those dosage measurements, mix your own drip, and administer and titrate based on what you saw clinically. So we were a unique set. Plus, in doing what we did, we had a level of autonomy that I don't think a lot of nurses get, because some of the residents used to come in from I'm going to call them prestigious hospitals in our area, and woo, they would be like, you county nurses, because what they were used to were 20-year-old nurses looking for potential MD husbands who, yes, doctor, no, doctor, I'll clean that up after you, doctor. What they got was, I'm 40 years old with 3 kids, divorced 2 times. I am not your mama. I know you did not leave that suture tray sitting over there like it's just going to get up and walk to the sterilization room by itself. No, it is not. You need to clean that up, sir. So, yeah, what they didn't get was coddled. Luckily, though, we had enough residents and medical students whose moms were nurses, and they respected the nurse. They was like, I know my mother's a nurse, and the best friend I could have is you as the nurse. So do you mind me asking this? Do you mind me asking that? We were a pretty elite group. We actually trained Navy medical personnel in our area, because they weren't seeing any combat and they weren't seeing any trauma. And shoot, at Chicago, everybody gets shot. You know, at that time when you were getting 300 gunshots, you know, in a course of a 3-day weekend. So, I mean, meaning a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, you know, we were the place to be and the place for training. I mean, they used to come in like, oh, can I start an IV? You like, go ahead. You know? And you have to practice your trade. You have to practice your trade. Yeah, I was one of those nurses where, you know, they be trying to get an IV. I might be working in the ICU and the listen, Kyle Keena, you know, talking about she can get an IV on the dead man. So, and I used to get them too. I used to have that tourniquet on tight, but I had enough blood if that one area of that vein popped up where I could get a line in. And I'm not talking about no 20 gauge and no 22 gauge. Quit playing with me on the trauma unit. You better get an 18 or a 16. Go big or go home. And just reminiscing about those days. But anyway, I really, really hope and pray that I get this job. I have been doing all that I can as far as I'm a 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. wake up person. I know that this is supposed to be a very spiritual time. I have been meditating between those hours. I do a gratitude. I do a prayer, a job prayer. I do positive affirmations, gratitude affirmations, motivational thank yous, especially that Denzel one. I love that one. So I do that. So all I can do is claim it, walk away from it, and hope I get that call close to or after my vacation, and not during my vacation when, you know, libations will be in full effect. Anyway, I just want to give you guys an update. I hope the memory on my phone is not running out and that you guys get all that. Oh, let me just mention, I am using my custom Pashi pen with my name in it. This is my favorite, my go-to. Nicole was making this for me, and it was supposed to be a tribute to Prince. I think that was around the time that he passed that I got this. I also have been using my palm placer with my little clownfish in there and my rocks and my lily or whatever it is. So I've been using this, and this, you know, I'm usually pressing and holding this like a pencil, so my finger usually hurts along that side. So this way I get to stab. You know, I can hold my finger this way. Let me see, where's it here? You know, I get to stab and hold my finger in different positions. The other thing I want to show you guys, not my candy, which I don't know how it's about, is this little rubbery thing, which now it has lint on it, but I have more. This little silicone fingertip holder, provider, comforter, I cut it. I saw this on a group that somebody bought. Forgive the lint. Forgive the lint. So I bought it on a group, and it's all silicone and cushiony. So when my finger does start to hurt, guess what? I have this as a protector, so that's a good thing. Anyway, that being said, I have some things to go pack with you for. First of all, Noelle and I are going to do a video, which won't be diamond painted. It will be probably a time lapse of the fairy house. The second thing is that I am going to do some what I wish I knew prior to diamond painting. I'm definitely going to do diamond painting over 50 with the little gadgets that you can use for self-protection. I also, you know, guys, I don't even have 100 viewers. And I've often said that it really didn't matter because that way I couldn't be committed. But one of the things that this video making does is it helps me to express some of those feelings that I wouldn't otherwise express, or to members of my family or whatever. It's sometimes easier to talk to a stranger. And what I didn't do when I said I needed that mental health break was I made no videos. I isolated myself even from the community, which was probably the biggest mistake. So while I say that I don't really care about my viewership, I do. I really do. So if you guys can recommend me to your friends, that would be awesome sauce. And I know a lot of people hate when people say that, but that would really be great. I would like to get up to, I don't know how many members you have to do to go live. And I also know you can do StreamYard. I am going to download that OBS because I think you can stream with OBS. So in any event, please help me get my membership up. I know I said it in a bunch of videos. I really don't care. I do. I honestly do, because you guys are good for me. And at that time, when my membership does get up, I will be doing giveaways. I have tons of diamond paintings. Some of them are from the name upper echelon shops, and some of them are from AliExpress, Wish, Amazon. What I do have is too many, so I can stand to give a few away. I want you guys to have a great Thursday evening. I will try to do a vlog piece while I'm in San Diego, and I am going to actually pre-record a video to get out to you guys Monday or Wednesday of next week. But in any event, enjoy your Thursday, enjoy your weekend. I will catch you guys later. Peace.